Don't bring your authentic self to work. I want your professional self. You can bring your authentic self to Thanksgiving meal with your family if you'd like to. Your authentic self is about who? Me, 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 me. Everything is what's happening to me. What's in it for me?
Evy Poumpouras highlights a crucial distinction between authentic and professional selves, especially in the workplace. While bringing your authentic self can evoke images of openness and vulnerability, Evy challenges this notion by suggesting that workplace environments necessitate a more measured and team-oriented version of oneself. The workplace is about the collective, not the individual ego. Thus, what is expected is your respectful, competent, empathetic, and genuine self focused on contribution and mission, not a self-centered version oversharing personal challenges or grievances. This approach aligns with the rigorous standards she witnessed among high-performing teams, such as the U.S. Secret Service, where emotional regulation, neutrality, and mission focus are paramount. Evy stresses that excessive self-focus, me, often undermines team dynamics and productivity. Therefore, while authenticity has value, context is key, and at work, it's about bringing forward the skills and mindset that benefit the group, rather than personal narratives or emotional baggage.
Can someone learn to be a better self-regulator of their emotions?
Yeah. So I've been around former SEALs, U.S. Secret Service, presidents, and I learned a lot about communication, reading people, confidence, and I'll share these things.
Emotional self-regulation is a skill that Evy Poumpouras underscores as both teachable and essential, especially in high-stakes environments. Drawing from her experience alongside elite military units and protective agents, she explains that confidence and effective communication flow from the ability to control one's emotions rather than be ruled by them. Holding back impulsive reactions, mastering a governor over emotional surges, and maintaining a neutral demeanor, even under duress, are critical capabilities. Evy shares that this skill was cultivated through rigorous training and the influence of disciplined peers and mentors, emphasizing that one's environment greatly affects their ability to self-regulate. Even with a strong external facade, true mastery means managing internal emotional states and choosing appropriate responses. This ability extends into professional and personal spaces, improving decision-making, building trust, and enabling consistent, calm leadership. Emotional regulation is foundational for navigating fear, stress, and conflict, empowering individuals to rise above reactive behaviors.
I've been around very steady people, confident people, I suppose. I've never seen anyone or heard anybody talk about it. Ever. I've never heard anybody in the circle of where I was, whether it's former SEALs, U.S. Secret Service, I've never heard anyone talk about it. And I think one of the secrets is they don't talk about it. They don't think about it. They don't give it that much life. I just am.
Confidence, Evy explains, is often an understated and quiet force rather than an overt or loudly proclaimed trait. From her vantage point within the Secret Service and elite teams, genuine confidence simply is. It manifests naturally in behavior, decision-making, and presence, without the need for self-declaration or constant affirmation. Confident individuals do not obsess over how confident they are. Instead, they focus on showing up, making decisions based on the best information available, and trusting themselves in the process. Additionally, she emphasizes that confidence grows out of consistent practice, such as making decisions under pressure, managing cognitively and emotionally demanding situations, and surrounding oneself with a strong, steady social circle that fosters growth and stability. The message is that confidence is developmental. It comes from action and repetition, not from self-reflexive anxiety or internal dialogue. Evy also illustrates how fear-based decisions undermine confidence and how managing emotional responses is critical to building lasting self-belief.
And another thing that the Secret Service taught us is that it's really important to use your hands, because when people don't see hands, it's a sign of untrustworthiness, like you can't trust them. So when you see hands, open hands, I'm no threat.
Evy shares subtle communication and behavioral lessons she observed while working closely with presidents and elite leaders. For instance, open hand gestures signal honesty and non-threat, which increases trust in interpersonal interactions, a vital factor in high-stakes settings like presidential protection or negotiations. Leaders she observed kept their cognitive load low, focusing only on essential information to avoid decision fatigue. For example, President Barack Obama famously wore identical suits to reduce trivial decisions daily. Leaders formed strong circles of trusted advisors and delegated tasks effectively rather than attempting to micromanage, reflecting confidence in their team's competence. Additionally, they maintained personal time and physical fitness routines to sustain mental and emotional resilience. Their communication styles were measured, deliberate, and focused on impact rather than verbosity, fostering an environment of openness while retaining authority and approachability.
Do you have a lot of friends?
No. I did growing up. I was Miss Social Butterfly. No. And just so you know, the research shows, Stephen, that as we age, our inner circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller. I have a lot of acquaintances, and I'm friendly with a lot of people, and I network with a lot of people, and I like these people. But when I hear the word friends, I could count my friends on one hand.
In a world overflowing with superficial interactions, Evy Poumpouras highlights the importance of investing in a small, trusted circle of genuine friends who offer unconditional trust and support. Quality far outweighs quantity in meaningful relationships, especially as one grows older and more discerning. Such relationships serve as critical anchors of stability, accountability, and emotional safety. Evy explains that this select group is comprised of people who consistently earn trust over time and can provide honest feedback, a safe sounding board, and constructive challenge. Beyond casual acquaintances and networking, true friendships require vulnerability and mutual respect. This inner circle acts as both a shield against negative influences and a source of positive reinforcement that enhances emotional regulation and personal growth.
People are tired of being told that they have no control over the outcome of their lives and no control over their relationships. Because when you tell people it's not your fault this happened to you and it's okay that you're this way, which it is, I think people don't want to stay there anymore.
Evy tackles the complex reality of trauma and victimhood, sharing how an overemphasis on past events as causes for current identity can be disempowering. While recognizing the legitimacy of trauma, she warns against anchoring one's entire identity and future to it, as this fosters a state of powerlessness and stagnation. The cultural narrative that it's not your fault can sometimes unintentionally enable continued helplessness. Instead, Evy advocates for acknowledging what happened, accepting the present reality without denial, and focusing on where to go from here. This constructive mindset shift emphasizes personal agency and incremental change, moving away from a reactive victim stance toward proactive empowerment. She also highlights the importance of not becoming reliant on external validation or saviors, but learning to trust oneself and progressively regain control over one's life.
People are not well. So in the U.S. Secret Service, we had a unit. It was called the Protective Intelligence Unit. In that unit is where we would track people who were presumed to be threats against people we protected.
Evy reveals insights into how social media dramatically changes threat landscapes and human behavior. The rise of online platforms allows individuals to express hate, threats, and radical thoughts anonymously or remotely, greatly increasing the volume and unpredictability of potential threats. This virtual distance emboldens people in ways they wouldn't face to face. The constant negative exposure to divisive content reduces empathy and fosters polarization, which can escalate real-world violence. Algorithms additionally create echo chambers by showing users more of what they engage with, potentially intensifying fears and perceived threats. Evy also points to the erosion of traditional social anchors, such as family, faith, and community institutions, which historically mitigated extreme behaviors. She warns that these factors combined have made individuals and society more vulnerable. The personal isolation many feel in the digital world contrasts sharply with the camaraderie and checks and balances found in protective teams that work closely together.
When I speak, I own my voice. So there's paralinguistics there. And I learned this from doing the news, because if I don't sound like I know what I'm talking about, then it does not matter what I say. It's what I sound like.
Evy emphasizes how the manner in which we communicate, our voice tone, pacing, and body language, profoundly influences how others perceive us, often more than the actual content. Confident communication involves owning your voice, using deliberate pauses, and projecting authority without rushing or over-explaining. She learned early on in broadcast journalism that a strong, authentic tonality commands respect and trust. Utilizing open hand gestures signals transparency and credibility, connecting non-verbally with audiences. Evy advises meeting listeners where they are, adapting speech complexity to their comprehension levels to enhance engagement and clarity. Additionally, leaving space and pauses respects the audience's need to absorb information, increasing retention and impact. This style, derived from negotiation, interrogation, political communication, and media experience, applies broadly from leadership to everyday interactions.
So you think you should never try and change someone?
I think it's wrong to do that to people, especially if they're showing you repeatedly, I don't want you to do this, leave me alone.
Evy discusses a vital boundary, recognizing when efforts to change others are futile or harmful. From her law enforcement and personal experience, she observed that many people, especially those entrenched in their behaviors or beliefs, resist change fiercely. Even well-intentioned interventions can cause increased conflict or alienation if the other person is unwilling. She stresses the importance of accepting people as they are and focusing instead on adapting oneself to reality. This doesn't imply agreement with harmful behaviors, but underscores the limits of one's influence and highlights self-preservation. Attempting to save or change unwilling individuals can be draining and counterproductive. Evy also points to the psychological and emotional dynamics of chronic victims or abusers, wherein identities become tied to persistent conflict or victimhood, making change even harder. Practicing clear boundaries, emotional detachment, and acceptance are key survival skills.
I've heard Obama say that as well.
Just like I said it?
Pretty much close. I heard him talk about this whole idea of making decisions at 51% certainty when he spoke at this conference I was speaking at in Sao Paulo a couple of years ago. And he's talking about the big decisions in his career, like going in and getting Osama bin Laden, didn't have 100% certainty.
Evy highlights the critical leadership lesson from watching presidents that decisions do not require perfect information or absolute certainty. Acting on roughly 51% confidence, making the best possible choice with available data, and accepting risk is essential for effective leadership. Excessive hesitation or chasing perfection often leads to decision paralysis. Instead, mature leaders analyze, consult trusted advisors, delegate appropriately, then act decisively and accept that decisions may sometimes be wrong. Learning to be comfortable with imperfection and to pivot as needed builds real confidence and forward momentum. This philosophy contrasts with fear-driven decision-making common among insecure individuals, where dread of errors impedes action and creates additional problems. Evy stresses that after decisions are made, self-criticism and regret are counterproductive. Instead, focus should turn to adaptive response and continual learning.